Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. Football isn't time dependent. We're all football fans wherever we are across the world. Some are happier football fans than others on a day like today. And the word that sprang to mind when I went to bed last night and when I woke up today was Spursy. People hate it. People think it's in bad taste. It's the perfect word. It's never going to change. Tottenham are Spursy. We are the Jekyll and Hyde of football teams. And as I've titled the show, it's from the sublime to the ridiculous. Only Tottenham could have the win we had last week against Man United and then go and do what we did yesterday against Brighton. It just feels like we've seen this film before. We've seen this film thousands of times before. It feels hundreds, thousands of times before, where everyone loses their mind and, oh my God, everyone's in the mud. Everybody's got to write apology forms, this, that, the other. And Tottenham we can't ever back it up. We can't ever say, you know what, let's kick on. Nope. We go Spursy. And look, this isn't a video where, oh my God, Ange out. Oh my God, Ange in. I think all of that needs to kind of stop. The whole, oh, but are you Ange in? Are you Ange out? For me, Ange hasn't really changed anything at this football club. That's where I've been all the way along. That's where I am now. Yes, on the eye, we play some very good football until we don't. We play some great football. First half yesterday. Most of the game against Man United. We play some awful football. Coventry. Yeah. For example, Leicester second half. Yeah. Newcastle. I thought again, we had the ball, but we didn't really ever look like opening them up. So for me, I feel like nothing's really changed. So, I know that I've seen some videos where people are really angry. People are upset. I don't think I'm angry or upset. I'm just kind of like, I want to know what other people are seeing that makes them believe in this guy more than I and others do. I don't quite get it. I don't quite get it. We talk about this back four is brilliant. They're as good as anyone in the league. No, they're not. No, they're not. I think we need to stop this fake narrative now. We need to stop this. Oh, my God. Going forward, we're amazing. We're amazing when teams leave space in behind. Yeah. The moment they don't, we look lackluster. We look void of ideas. Yesterday, first half, loads of space in behind Brighton. We capitalised. Second half, no space in behind Brighton. We didn't have a clue. We looked like a novice team going forward. And for me, again, it's that Jekyll and Hyde in everything we do. Sometimes good, sometimes shit. I believe, was it Jose who said that? Or Conte, or whoever said that. Sometimes good, sometimes shit. That's Spurs. This notion that Ange has changed the aura around the club. He's changed the vibe. He's changed the feeling. I don't see it. I see the same Spurs that I've always seen. And look, is it the end of the world? Of course it's not the end of the world. We're in the top half of the table where we should be. But is it as good as many are making out? I just don't think it is. And over the last, we're going to get into some facts in a minute and we'll talk about the game. But over the last few weeks, especially where Spurs have beaten a lot of very mediocre teams, if we're going to be honest. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Listen, the old adage, you can only beat what's in front of you, of course. But to then use that to tell everyone they're in the mud, they're wrong, we're going to win the title. Yesterday, I've heard we're in a title race. Really? Yesterday, we're the best team in the Europa League. Based on what? Like, based on what? What? I feel like everyone's saying very nice things without actually looking at some facts and some evidence. For a team that's in a title race, we can't beat any good teams. For a team that's in a title race, right, we can't seem to win many away games. I just feel like everyone needs to meet in the middle a little bit. Let's meet in the middle a little bit. I don't think, oh my God, we're getting relegated. No. Oh my God, we're in a title race. This is a great team. Ange always wins in his second year. No. It's somewhere in there. I think we're a very good team on our day. On our day. Now, that's a dangerous sentence in football, isn't it? On our day. Because it all depends on how many our days we have, doesn't it? It depends how many days you have. And at the moment, Tottenham are I mean, we are, I don't want to say the word bipolar. It's really derogatory to a serious illness, but I'll stick with the Jekyll and Hyde analogy. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute when we look at the league table, when we look at the form table, all that kind of stuff. Tottenham are just very much, it's almost like we don't know what we are. Ange has almost set us up to be this gung-ho, flying forward team, and fans seem to care more about that than they do about winning games of football. Now, I love watching good football. For example, I don't want to watch Conte week in, week out. That football kills me. I also don't want to watch Ange ball. I can't believe I just said that. Ugh, apologies. Sick in my mouth. I also don't want to watch Ange Postecoglou's football every week. It's just, again, it's the sublime to the ridiculous. It's like we can never meet in the middle. And I get lots of people, very childish people, saying things like, well, if you're a fan that didn't like Conte, you've got what you deserve. No. What about a manager that is in the middle? What about a manager that acknowledges we must defend as well as attack? We must have time in games where we have 10 minutes to take the sting out of a game of football rather than just gung-ho and leaving spaces in behind. A manager that realises we're 2-0 up away from home. Let's just relax a tiny little bit here. Put our foot on it. Put our foot on it. Take all of their sting. Nope, not Spurs. High line. Let's just let them keep playing. And our defenders aren't good enough to cope with it. Our individual, we'll get into it. The individual defensive performances yesterday were disgusting. All four of them. Absolutely disgusting. Some worse than others, but terrible defensive performance. And listen, I'm going to get into the players because for me, no player is safe after yesterday. But neither is the manager. And let's look at it. Let's break down yesterday's game. We have gone into the game yesterday in 5 wins in a row. Now, listen, people can say what they want about the 5 wins. We got them. No one can take that away. No one can take that away. We got the 5 wins. But games like yesterday really do start supporting the validity of all the people that have been saying, yeah, but we played rubbish teams. Look, I think Qarabag, Coventry, and Ferencvaros, that's 3 wins. Guaranteed, that's 3 wins. If you don't, you've got to ask questions. Man United, going to be tough going to Old Trafford, but Man United are in all sorts of trouble at the moment. They're in terrible form. Brentford, a decent team. I like their manager, but they had a lot of players missing. We should be beating them at the lane. So that's great. You got those wins. But again, sandwiched before that and after that, the 2 games before those 5 wins, Newcastle and Arsenal. 2 good teams. 1 very good team in Arsenal, 1 good team in Newcastle. There's different levels, of course. Lost. Straight away after the 5 games, we play a good team in Brighton. Not very good, a good team in Brighton. Lost. And this is Spurs. Lost. All the wins in the middle, lost. And it's starting to form a pattern that we are turning into flat track bullies. Now, that's fine. That's fine. But if we are turning into flat track bullies, and all the evidence suggests that, I think fans need to relax a little bit. We need to, I keep hearing, this is the best manager we've had since XYZ, right? Put your name in there. This is the best manager we've had since Venables. This is the best manager we've had since Yole, since Poch, since Birkinshaw. Based on what? It's purely based on that at the moment and not on this. That, not this. And that's fine. But when some fans are turning around and going, okay, where's the evidence? What are we basing our feelings on? And the answer's there. We're basing it on feelings. Nothing's happened at all to suggest this is the best manager since XYZ sliced bread. But for me, this manager's got to adapt. He's got to change. And it's okay when playing the weaker teams to say, oh, we adapted. We didn't invert. That's fine. Brilliant. I'm not knocking that. But it's games like yesterday where we've seen over and over again from Ange where this guy does not know what to do to change a game. He just doesn't. The evidence is there. And let's look at it. The worrying sign for me, and by the way, I just want to say yesterday, I was so confident. I said 3-1 Spurs. I looked at Brighton's team and said they've got 6 to 7 first team players out. We had one. We had a full strength 11. The only difference was Son for Werner. Other than that, the goalkeeper, the back four, the midfield three, Solanke, Johnson. The only one missing for us was Son. Brighton had Van Hecke missing. Brighton had Yao Pedro missing. James Milner, Solly March, Adingra, Matt O'Reilly. Vifa had a fitness test before the game, Brighton fans are telling me, which is why he didn't start. Look, and I'm looking at that going, come on, surely. Listen, Brighton are a decent team, but they've not won a game for 43 days in the Premier League. They've not won in 4 Premier League games. They've drawn at home to Ipswich. They've drawn at home to Nottingham Forest. But Tottenham go there and 3-2 against a weakened Brighton side after being 2-0 up. And for me, again, I'm not angry about it. I'm not even shocked. Nothing has changed. Again, for me, I'll say this until the cows come home, whatever that saying means. I love that saying. I'll say this until the cows come home. Stop bigging up this manager who has achieved nothing at Spurs yet. Stop overpraising footballers that have achieved nothing at Spurs yet. Let's have a degree of decorum in this fan base. Let's, for once, actually take it for what it is. We're going to win some games. We're going to lose a lot of games. That's the way it is. We are not good enough yet to beat the better teams. We have to stop doing this overpraising. We have to stop this, oh, you're in the mud, he's in the mud, she's in the mud, they're in the mud, 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 mud. For what? Beating Ferencvaros, beating Karabag, beating Coventry. No, this should be standard wins that Tottenham go, right, we've got them today, that's a win, move on. No one's knocking that, but I don't see other fan bases doing this. I don't see Aston Villa fans. Whenever I speak to Aston Villa fans, I don't see them turning around and one week they're brilliant, the next week they're shit. You know, oh my God, you're in the mud, he's in the mud. It just seems like we've got very childish as a fan base. Listen, is Ange a good manager? He's okay. Has Ange done anything to prove to me that he's different from the ones we've had before? No. Do the results prove me right? Yes. So what's this need for everyone to push Ange on everybody? It's almost like a cult now. It's almost like when somebody's religious, and each to their own, I am not, but each to their own. When somebody's religious, they go, oh, I follow this religion. Okay, cool. Now, let me tell you why. No, I don't want to know. I'm religious. No, but you've got to understand. No, I don't care. That's what it's like with the cult of Ange. It's like this guy can't do anything wrong. If we win, Ange is amazing. Ange ball in full effect. If we lose, oh, no, that's on the players. Well, that doesn't quite work. If a signing works out, that's who Ange wanted. He plays Ange ball. That's who Ange wanted. He's perfect. When a signing doesn't work out, Ange didn't want him. It's like, what are we doing here? Why can't we find some balance? Why is the word balance so far removed from the vocabulary of Spurs fans? It's here or there. There's never meeting in the middle. And it's just got all a tad silly. All the I told you so's and blah, blah, blah. Look, can we not wait for this manager to actually prove something before we all praise him? Can we not wait for some of these players to prove something before we praise them? People want, look, Brennan Johnson, he's in great goal scoring form, but we go overboard, don't we? Pictures of him dressed as R9. People going, oh my God, I always knew he was class. It's like, well, all right, he scored some goals in a row. He's a Premier League footballer. Fair play to him, great form, crack on. But no, our fans, where's the apologies? He's amazing. It's like, whoa, why have we, again, 0 to 100 on every single subject? Every single subject, 0 to 100. Dominic Solanke, oh my God, that's why we bought him. He's amazing. Again, Dominic Solanke does some nice stuff, also does some really poor stuff, and for me, is missing for a big chunk of games of football. That's not me saying he's a bad footballer, but Again, he scores some tap-ins, and our fans go from 0 to 100 that he's absolutely amazing. He's a beast. He's like Harry Kane. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let it play out. Let it play out. Like, I'm not picking on those two guys. You could say this of any of them. Madison, 1 week he's amazing. The next week fans think he's shit. Bentancur, oh my God, he's been brilliant. The next week he's shit. It's like we can't seem to find any balance or middle ground. And at some point, I think we need to accept that some of these players are just not as good as fans make them out to be, and that the manager isn't as good. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad manager. Hear what I'm saying? I don't think he's a bad manager. I just think that everybody that is overrating him and is ramming him down our throats is doing so off the basis of coming from Celtic, right? Coming from a league where you're going to win doubles and trebles. And I'm not knocking that. Fair play to him doing that. Or, you know, Gordon Strachan, Neil Lennon, all Brendan Rodgers, all these people have done it. That's fine. But this is a different ball game. You don't rock up against teams like Brighton and be that naive. You don't rock up against the Newcastles, the Arsenals, the Cities, the Liverpools. You can't do that. And pointing that out seems to be a bad thing. So I'm not sitting here going, Ange out, Ange in. I'm sitting here going, can we please have some decorum in the middle here? Can we please actually realise that all is not as amazing as so much of the fan base is making out? It's very disingenuous. Every time we lose a game, it's the players, it's the players. How about I throw a theory that couldn't it be the players and the manager? For me, I think he gives them ridiculous tactics at times. But for me, I don't think they're as good as we think. So rather than going, oh, it's all on Ange, it's all on the players. For me, I think it's always got to be enough of the pie to be shared around. Let's look at yesterday. This is how Ange started the day by saying, a reporter asked him, so I'm just reading if I'm looking away, with the way the teams play, talking about Brighton and Spurs, there's an expectation that this may be an open contest. So how do you keep it controlled? Now, most managers would give a proper answer, a professional answer. Ange went with this. We don't, saying we don't keep it controlled. Let's keep it open. I mean, mind blown. This is a professional football manager. That way we entertain everyone and hopefully get the result. Like, haven't we got our priorities here completely wrong? That way we entertain and hopefully get the result. So that way we entertain, definite, hopefully get the result, maybe. What are we doing here? Why is a professional manager in the Premier League talking about we don't try and control it, we just keep it open? That is bonkers. That does not work against better teams as seen yesterday. So anyway, we'll move on from the... I mean, again, this is when I talk about the sublime to the ridiculous. Some of the things I'm going to say we were sublime. Things like that were absolutely ridiculous, right? Absolutely ridiculous. So then the game starts. Spurs get off to a flyer. Should have been 1-0 up in, 30 seconds? Should have been 1-0 up in 30 seconds, but Timo Werner, I'm not even going to go there. Should have been 1-0 up. We then do go 1-0 up with a lovely ball from Solanke, who seems to have turned into a playmaker. A lovely ball from Solanke and another great finish from Brennan Johnson, and the confidence is flowing through his veins. Really good goal. And you're thinking to yourself, and I actually said on my stream, anyone who watched me, any of you who watch me, you know I said it. Said the second goal is coming. Second goal is coming. They can't handle us. We are all over them. They can't handle us. Lo and behold, the second goal did come. We could say fortuitous. Verbruggen should have done better. Sure. But we got the lead. We're 2-0 up. We're cruising. We're 2-0 up. We're cruising. Then, the last 15 minutes of that first half, Brighton just started to show some signs of what they're capable of, and very much on the left-hand side. Again, I always say this. People rave about Pedro Porro, and I think Pedro Porro is a fabulous footballer. I think he's a terrible defender. Two very different words. As a footballer, I think he's brilliant. As a defender, I don't think he's good at all. Right? And yesterday, they kept giving the ball to Matoma in the first half. And him and Kadoglu, apologies if I got that wrong, they just kept overlapping on him. And the warning signs were there. He put Matoma put in a brilliant ball with the outside of his boot. And Danny Welbeck, let's be fair, should have scored. He then put in 2 more of those before the half ended, which Spurs cleared, but they were very good crosses. Then, before the stroke of half time, Brennan Johnson's got a chance to actually kill the game off at 3-0, and he doesn't. And fair, listen, I'm not going to get on his back for that. He's been scoring for fun. But again, those are the moments, the fine lines in football, aren't they? The thin line. So anyway, we go in at half time 2-0 up, right? And you know all this. We go in at half time. And I would expect any managers go, right, you're 2-0 up. We're away from home. They're going to come out the traps. You know they are. They're going to be getting a bollocking in their dressing room from their manager. Nothing silly. Nothing silly. Don't need to go gung-ho. Just keep the ball for 5-10 minutes. Take the sting out of the game. No, Tottenham can't do it. We just are incapable of game management. The players are incapable of in-game management, and Ange is incapable of in-game management. And I'll prove this to you in a minute. So, Brighton then score. And again, Matoma. This is where it came from. Matoma, who, by the way, was absolutely sensational. I've said it before the game. I've said it all season. That would be my guy. That should be the ready-made replacement for Son on the left. That, for me, is a top winger who's a brilliant technician, a great crosser of the ball. He's a danger man. That should be, if we had anything about us, we're not going to buy Yang and Odegaard. We're going to buy Matoma, sticking him out on the left and going, right, there you go. And then you can move Son on next year. That's what a top team would do. Not Spurs, no. Anyway, Matoma whips in a ball. It goes past Van der Ven. And then a doggy, again, another one who I've said going forward looks a good player. Defensively, I think he's really poor. Mistakes, riddled with mistakes, him and Porro. Porro, not so much the mistakes, more the positioning. Adogi just constantly giving the ball away and mistakes week in, week out. Anyway, so they get back in it. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, 2-1. Let's, again, take the sting out of the game. Take the sting out of the game. Put the foot on the ball. We didn't. And Brighton were first to everything. Every first ball, every second, they were first to everything. Baliba was absolutely brilliant. He ran himself into the ground and got subbed off in the end. Baliba in that second half was winning everything in the midfield battle. Maddison's legs went. Kulu's legs went. Bentancur, who I thought had a really poor game all throughout. He looked tired. He looked weak. And they started to dominate. And what did they do? Out to Matoma. And then as they got more confident, out to Minte. Matoma. And again, our wingers just did not track back and support. Stell, on his show last night, showed that 2 or 3 times Brennan Johnson got back, but didn't actually help Porro. He just ran back. He didn't put his foot in. He didn't tackle. It was almost like we're going through the motions. And anyway, the rest is history. Poor defending for all 3 goals. Romero, I thought, again, another game where I think Romero just looks disinterested, not marking his man, mistakes. I don't know. People are saying he's got his head in Madrid, but the way he's playing, I can't see why a Madrid would want him. And this is the polar opposite that we see of Romero in an Argentina shirt. Why? Because the Argentina manager has them defending. Again, Romero steps out. He wants to try and be a number 6. 2 or 3 occasions yesterday, he stepped out, didn't win the ball, and they're in behind. Van der Ven looked leggy yesterday. For me, again, I don't know whether games are catching up with him. Again, that was probably one of the worst performances I've seen from Mickey van der Ven. Looked sluggish on the ball, caught out for goals, positioning. All 4 of the back 4 for me just looked terrible yesterday. And for me, we've really overrated this back 4. We've really overrated them. I think individually there's some good players there. As a 4, I don't think it works. as a 4. I think there's a lot of pressure on Mickey van der Ven. Romero wants to go and be a midfielder. Porro and Udogie want to be midfielders. It just doesn't seem right. And people go, oh, well, we haven't lost in 5 before that. Sure. How many times did Ferencváros get behind us? Karabag get behind us. Coventry. These teams are getting behind us. Just Brighton had the ability. Brighton had the quality in Mitoma, Welbeck and Minte to open us up and finish us off. And again, I'll reiterate, I'm not sitting here saying Ange out. I'm not sitting here saying Ange out. But this guy has got to adapt because yet again, we've played a top half team and yet again, this manager is undone. And again, the worrying thing, the biggest worry for me is this is now the 3rd or 4th time this season that we've seen Spurs very good in a first half or control in a first half for managers at half time to realise, hang on, that's what you do to beat Spurs. We saw Leicester do it. I know they didn't beat us, but we saw Leicester do it. All over them first half. Leicester came out second half, in behind. They got it. Coventry. Yeah, we scraped the win, but Coventry at half time, you watch, they came out second half and just getting their players down the line over the top, they realised. Yesterday, it took Hertzula of Brighton 45 minutes to realise, all right, I know what I'm going to do here. And they came out a different proposition. And that's fine. That's what managers are paid to do. But the fact that managers are paid to do that means they're paid to do that, so do that. Hertzula did. Ange, when we went 3-2 down or 2-2, statue like this. Arms folded. You can see my arms folded, standing on the side, looking around in bewilderment. And fans, you can see the fan, do something, change something. Nope, changes nothing. Changes nothing. We conceded 3 goals in 15 minutes. All right, wham, bam, it all happened very quickly. All right, 3-2. You've got 25 minutes of the game left to go. What are you doing, Ange? Nothing. Doesn't make a change for 15 more minutes. Doesn't make a change for 15 more minutes. Then when he does, Papa Sarr and Basuma. Not knocking those players, but hang on, we need a goal here, mate. We need to get back in the game. Papa Sarr and Basuma, just very odd substitutions, very late. Then he takes off Madison, our chief playmaker, and puts Moore on with about 4 to 5 minutes to go. I feel sorry for Mikey Moore. What can he do in 4 or 5 minutes? What are we doing? And again, look at this. Were you tempted? This was Ange being asked after the game. Were you tempted to make your subs earlier as the game was turning? And again, I don't even know what is he talking about? Yeah, I could have, but all these things are totally irrelevant to me. Worrying. Substitutions and all those kind of things. Worrying. If you're not competitive, it doesn't matter what you do. You're not going to get rewards. You don't deserve to win. Worrying. We didn't deserve on our second half performance, irrespective of subs or anything else, to get something out the game. But I think if you do get something out the game, you're falsely rewarded. And I don't want to get falsely rewarded is the last word there. Let me just show you. Rewarded. How worrying is that? We've got a manager sitting here saying, we didn't deserve the point, so it doesn't really matter. What? What? You should be throwing the kitchen sink, Ange, to try and get back in that game and get a point. What are we doing here? This is a Brighton team that hadn't won for 4 Premier League games. This is a Brighton team that conceded 4 last week to Chelsea. This is a Brighton team with 6 to 7 first-team injuries, and we had 1. What are we doing here? We've got a manager. Again, I'm not saying Ange out, but that's got to change. That he can't sit there and say these things irrelevant of substitutions. It doesn't matter. Of course it matters. You're paid to change the game, Ange. You're paid to change this game. Top managers don't sit there and watch that. They try and make changes. They try and affect the game. He just sat 2-1, 2-2, not changing anything. 3-2, doesn't change anything. 15 minutes go by, it doesn't change anything. I have no idea what's going through the mind. I really don't. And again, I've got no personal feelings about Ange. I just do not rate this guy as a manager. I just feel like he's going to do, he's going to be a flat track bully. He's going to beat all these weaker opposition teams, right? And then fans will lose their mind because we'll beat them in some style like we did with Man United and Brentford. And then when we lose these games, fans go, oh, no, don't worry, because we won the last two. This is not a top-level manager. I'm sorry. This is not. And that's fine. But fans need to acknowledge that. This is not a top-level manager. We're not going to do bits under this manager. Look, let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this, shall we? So if anyone wanted to know why I think Spurs are a Jekyll and Hyde team, have a look at this. Now, straight away, when you look at the top 8, so everyone above Spurs, the top 8, right? Fulham, Newcastle, Brighton, Villa, Chelsea, Arsenal, City, Liverpool. The top 8, between them, they've got 4 defeats in the last, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. In the last 40 games, they've got 4 defeats between them. Spurs have 3 in 5. All of them, look, all the greens, all the greys. And then there's 1 red for Fulham, 1 red for Newcastle, and 1 red for Brighton and Liverpool. Spurs have got 3 losses in that same time. We've nearly got as many losses as the top 8 combined in the last 5 games. But we're cooking. But Ange is brilliant. But YouTubers that wanted him out are then going, oh, I'm sorry, I apologise. What are we doing here? How are we flip-flopping like this from game to game? You look at it. Look at Nottingham Forest below us. 1 defeat in 5 games. Look at Brentford, 2 defeats. West Ham, 2 defeats. You have to go down to 13th place to see that Bournemouth are the only other team in the top 13 of the table that have lost 3 of the last 5. But things are changing. And then look at that. Look at the actual 7 games played. 3 games won, 1 drawn, 3 lost. If that is not a Jekyll and Hyde football team, I don't know what is. And then you look at all the teams above us. All the teams above us. Even had Nottingham Forest. Forest 1 defeat. Fulham 2. Newcastle 1. Brighton 1. Villa 1. Chelsea 1. Arsenal none. City none. Liverpool 1. Spurs 3. Spurs 3. You watch what he does in the summer. 2nd season. Guys, I'm just going to put this out there. This is factually, people will hate this and say I'm cherry picking. I can't cherry pick this. This is a fact. This is the worst Premier League start to a season for Spurs. The worst in 17 seasons since one day Ramos was sacked for having an appalling start to a season. Now, I'm not saying this is as appalling as one day Ramos. But again, this is the worst start to a season in 17 years. And I've got fans messaging me talking about we're the best team in the Europa. We're going to definitely get 3rd, 4th. We're better than Chelsea. We're better than Villa. Why can't we overtake Liverpool? They've not been tested by anyone, apparently. While sitting there with the worst start to a Premier League season in 17 years. Again, can we please keep it calm? Can we please stop this narrative that everything is amazing? Nothing has changed. Here, look at this. Look at this. This is everyone we've played this season, yeah, versus the result this season versus the result against them last season, right? Now, the only one that's missing is Leicester because Leicester obviously weren't in the league last year. But you can take this away and say, right, last year, the first promoted team Spurs played was Burnley, and we won. And you can put the first promoted team we played this year was Leicester, and we drew. So Spurs last year beat Everton at home. This year, beat Everton at home. Newcastle away last year. Lost. This year, lost. Arsenal, home. Lost. Lost this year. Brentford at home. Won last year. Won this year. Man United away is the only result. The Man United away result is the only result that is better so far than last year's. So that's 2 points. Now, if you take into account the Burnley game and the Leicester game, you lose 2 points there. We are exactly the same. We are exactly the same in terms of the teams we played last year already versus this year, there is no change. There will be fans out there making videos going, but look at the scoreline. We lost less this year to last year. Like last year, we lost at Brighton 4-2, right? And this year was 3-2 or whatever it was. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? We're losing games. This isn't better. It might be nicer on the eye at times, but we're losing games the same as last year. Nothing has fundamentally changed. And that needs to change. Ange needs to adapt. Ange needs to grow. Ange needs to learn. Here, have a look at this. Last year, do you remember Spurs fans went absolutely mad, right? Spurs fans went absolutely mad last year. We've battered Villa 4-0. You can see it right there. Sunday, the 10th of March, Spurs 4, Villa 0. Everyone's going mad. This is the marker. Look at the win. We're brilliant. Ange ball's in full effect. We're brilliant. We're going to batter everyone. Look what happened the very next game. Saturday the 16th, 6 days later, Fulham 3, Tottenham 0. And you're thinking, okay, cool. It's his first season. We've learned. Let's move to this year. Very similar scenario. There you go. Man United on the 29th of September, 3-0 away. Spurs are back. We've battered a really good team, apparently. Blah, blah, blah. This is great. Then look at the very next league game, 7 days later. Brighton 3, Tottenham 2. Why am I showing that? I'm showing that to prove this is what we do. This is what is not changing. Nothing is changing. We can't keep this pretense, this pretense. I see people going to other channels and go, oh, you're a real fan, not like Sava. He's negative. Negative for what? Pointing out facts. I can't be negative for pointing out facts. This manager needs to learn and quick. This manager needs to adapt in games. And here you go. Yesterday wasn't a one-off that we waited till 3-2 down. We were 3-0 down to Fulham. And he made his first substitution when we went to 3-0 down. So 2-0 down away at Fulham wasn't enough. 3-0 down, 5 minutes later, first sub. Versus Newcastle, we were 3-0 down. The only sub he made was an injury at 2-0. Arsenal, we were 3-0 down. He makes his first sub at 3-0 down. Liverpool, 4-0 down. Makes his first sub at 4-0 down. This manager does not react. This manager is not reactive or proactive. This manager does not react. This manager that keeps telling people that are very easily led, Plan B is doing Plan A better. No, mix it up. We talked about this last night. Yesterday, Matoma was having a field day. Matoma was having a field day. Bring someone on and put him in front of Porro to protect Porro. Nope, doesn't do that. Do something, Ange. Just do something to try and show you want to win this game. And he just doesn't. Again, all these people going, oh my God, look at this transfer window. Gray, Bergval. Again, if they're ready, why aren't they coming on in games like that to help us? What's going on? I just don't think anything has changed. I think we're going to continue to be flat track bullies. I think we will have runs of form like the 5 we've just had, where we play teams like that in a row that we're expected to beat and do beat. But then the moment we play a decent Brighton team, by the way, that are in no form at all, conceding a lot of goals, we can't hold on to a 2-0 lead. And do you know, somebody sent me this morning, and this is quite interesting. Someone sent me this, said, just read that since last December, we've only won one away game when the other team had 11 men on the pitch, and that was against relegated already Sheffield United. That's embarrassing. Look, I'm going to leave it there, people. At the end of the day, I just think, I'm not saying Ange out, but I'm saying this guy's got to fix up and sharp. This guy, for me, is a very mediocre manager that is being a flat track bully. I said last week in videos with people, Everyone was coming on going, Sava, are you sorry? Are you apologising? And I said the same thing. Consistency. Beat the better teams. We'll have the conversation. Well, every better team he plays, he can't beat. And this is a Brighton team that had a 19 and a 20-year-old in centre mid. They had a 19 and a 20-year-old in centre mid versus the experience of Kulu, Maddison and Bentancur. This is a Brighton team that had a 20-year-old right winger who destroyed Udogie. They had Webster. Look, they were missing Van Heck. Then Webster got injured, so they had their fourth choice centre-back, Igor, comes on. Everything was in our favour, and we couldn't win. Look, we've got an international break now. All I'm asking for is I'm not sitting there going, oh, my God, we're awful. I think we're an okay team that plays some good football at times. But the manager's got to adapt. The players aren't quite as good as a lot of you think. And I think we just need to stop with this irrational nonsense after every game. Who's in the mud? We've got to stop with it. Because if we're talking about being in the mud, which I think is a really silly phrase, surely it's all the people that have overhyped as we're sitting down in 9th in the Premier League with 3 defeats in 5 games, with the worst start to a Premier League season in 17 years. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing how the ultra-positive spin the worst start to a season for 17 years. I'm looking forward to seeing how they spin it because they can never critique Ange. They never can. For me, players, manager, scouts, owner, at the moment, it's all very mediocre at Tottenham Hotspur. Anyway, please like, please subscribe. And by the way, all the trolls, all the people that want to debate me, all the people that hate me, 6:30 p.m. tonight, debate Sava, 6:30 p.m. tonight. Your chance to come on, pick a topic that you don't agree with me on. We will debate it. Take care, everyone. And as always, come on, you Spurs.